Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thanks again so much for joining me here. Let's take another look here at Solana before the candlestick closes, see what's going on, and double check a few key factors. We're coming up to this resistance range, this 0.618 fib level. Bitcoin's trending towards its as well. So there's a solid chance we might see some resistance here soon, but I do want you to recognize that there is a new CME gap for Bitcoin here. It's a little easier to see if you zoom in. It's between 60,000 and 60,000.6. So just know that if the price does pull back, which seems likely, just a bit of a cooling off period for Bitcoin, I think 60,000 would either be the next pivot point or an area in which Bitcoin will at least come back down to possibly continue lower. Just know that now that we're above that level with some extremely high volume, we can see that we're probably likely to stay above that level. Okay, so just some friendly advice there. Be very, very careful trading in that range here. We're in that that larger area there for Bitcoin. That's that more that CME gap, so to speak, that's still unfilled. So it's going to be pretty violent and volatile moving forward. I mean, we're at 11% up on the day for Bitcoin. This time yesterday, Bitcoin is at what, 55,000. To give you perspective, that's quite the difference. So either way you look at it here, let's look at Solana and kind of double check a couple of key factors. And if you're kind of scratching your head wondering why I just talked about Bitcoin, it's kind of the big dog, folks. It really calls all the shots, and it's one of those coins that's extremely important to recognize what's going on at all times. So I would highly recommend you watch my Bitcoin videos. I cover that twice a day, as well as Solana, just to make sure we bring you as good, as relevant as possible information, because the charts are consistently changing. It's important to kind of be dynamic with the price, but also not get too blindsided on one direction or the other, right? It's important to be very, very fluid. So in this case here, if we look at liquidation, as we talked about previously, all the key levels, all the major resistances or supports have been swept. Majority of them being resistances between 155 and 160. So that was originally a resistance range for us. Now we're kind of floating around there as if it had never happened, right? But again, billions of dollars. Each one of these bars, by the way, is $1 billion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Somewhere in the range of $10 billion gone at 155 to 160. So sorry, shorts. High leverage, not really all that great. So again, keep in mind, those are mostly high leverage shorts, because low leverage shorts are up here at about 175. Still feeling okay. Not saying it's great to have shorted Solana, but on the same accord, there's a lot more safety involved with lower leverage. So try not to get too crazy. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look here at the price action and go from there, because really when we're looking at the big picture here, we want to recognize a few important things, because when we looked at this earlier, some of the SMAs were kind of getting tested or broken. They still are at this point. We still got the 20-day SMA above the price action. So the funny thing about this, and it's a weird thing about Solana's price action, is that usually the 20-day SMA is going to be behind or below the 200, the 50, and the 20, or the 200 to 50 and the 100, right? Because it's faster, it moves quicker, but the price moves so stinking fast and recovered so quickly that the 20-day SMA doesn't even know what the hell is going on. Basically, what I mean by that is it's averaging itself out of that 0.618 fib level, which is uncommon because it's above all the other SMAs. So good news is being above all those SMAs is a good sign, but being over the 20 is kind of that trend setter. So I'm still not convinced that we've broken bullish for Solana. I've mentioned this earlier, a closure above 165, preferably 175, will give us that confirmation. And I know it's tough to want to take a long at that level. I get it. I wouldn't either. But between now and then, it's like you're kind of gambling if you're throwing money into certain coins, especially trying to short the current market here, more so Solana. So I've only shorted Solana with success this one time this year so far. Last year was kind of a 50-50 break even on my shorts. I generally always favor the longs. And the main reason why is because it's a 2x to Bitcoin to the upside. And even though it can be 2x to the downside, it's less common. It bounces back so quick. It doesn't make a ton of sense to try to short this coin. We're testing 50 on the RSI. This is kind of reaffirming the fact that we are in the resistance range here. Decent chance we get a rejection and the pullback, but on the same accord, we got to recognize it could fly too. The only thing I don't love here is the price action so far with, contrary to Bitcoin, you can tell it's been maxing out, because look, Bitcoin legs up, goes sideways for 4 hours and legs up again. Solana legs up, goes down for 4 hours, and now it's recovering poorly. So again, it's not a bad thing. It just implies that it's not really all that well paired at the moment to be kind of 2xing. And the reason why is it's massively overextended. Most altcoins are right now. In fact, if we take a look at Bitcoin dominance is still increasing, which is crazy because altcoins are still in the green. How does that happen? How's that a thing? It's a thing because of the fact that a lot of money is flowing into Bitcoin. It's really what it boils down to. We're probably seeing billions of dollars in Bitcoin right now just flooding in, okay? So that has something to do with it, but it doesn't mean you just blindly take it long. I would say at this point, based on how poorly Solana is recovering or responding to this pump, leads me to believe that there will be a pullback for Solana. Okay, now again, it's not going to be an aggressive pullback, just saying in general, that's kind of what we're thinking. Stochastic RSI swinging down. Generally, that is a sign letting us know that we're losing momentum. We can see MACD also diverging, or more importantly, it's losing its momentum rather, it's not diverging. And then of course we're getting rejected by 2 of the moving averages tentatively. We're over the 50 and the 20, that's generally a good sign. We lose the 20 or the 50 though, that could be that shift in momentum that I'm referring to that may actually happen soon. Keep in mind though, there's a massive amount of volume at 153, so if you're gonna consider shorting, you better make it tight, because it doesn't make a ton of sense for the price to go much lower than 154, especially if Bitcoin holds the 61 to 63K range. So just some things to kind of be mindful of. We got a massive amount of control below us based on volume. And actually, let's quickly look at the daily. So you can see this range here that I'm referring to. There's probably some newer additions, but let's double check and see. As you can see here, this is that macro point of control. We are right here, so we're kind of in this little dead zone here where there's not a ton of volume. So between 155 and 165, we might see the price become a little more sporadic because it's building its volume base. And that's normal, very standard, and not something that's completely irregular. We do take a look at the Ichimoku cloud. We're going to get confirmation on all fronts here. Most coins are looking pretty good here with the cloud, minus a few outliers. And if you do look here, we can see lagging spans free and clear, conversion line over the baseline, and obviously we can see that the cloud itself is hanging out right there at the point of control. So 154, I would say, is a solid pivot point, a good consideration for a long, because what was that? That was the most recent high. And that most recent high is now the new low. So there's a likely chance we're going to see a bounce off that level. If we lose 154, my speculation is we might see somewhere in the 140 to 150 range, based on the simple fact that we'd be diverging at that point, and perhaps concurrent with that, we'd see Bitcoin pulling back to fill its new CME gap there at 60K. All right. So either way you look at it though, mostly bullish here for Solana. I'd recommend waiting for a good consideration for entry. You can get in now, don't get wrong. You can average into your price now, 154, maybe even just say a lower level, but it just seems like we're on the overextended side and the pullback probability is pretty high, especially, keep this in mind folks, this is important to know. When Bitcoin was right here, Bitcoin is at 55,000 at this time yesterday, okay? Soon to close underneath some key confirming factors letting us know that we have a significant bearish divergence. What does Asian market do? As soon as 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time occurs, that's when our market opens, they crank the volume. They crank it up. They bought a bunch of Bitcoin, price goes up, everyone else falls into line. Now that we're up here, what do you think Asian markets are going to do? You think they're just going to keep pumping their price action up? No, it seems distinct probability they're going to sell, at the very least, come back down to 60K. That just seems like a logical way to go. Again, they've got a ton of profit. They bought in at 55K. They're up 10-11% on a pretty huge bag. What do you think they're going to do? Anyways, I think we're going to see a distinct pullback here, probably within the next couple hours. So just be mindful that is a very real thing. Okay. I hope that makes sense and I described that correctly as per usual. I do appreciate you watching. If you watch consistently, just hit the like button consistently. It really helps grow the channel, puts us in front of more people, help less people get destroyed more often, right? Again, I just try to talk sense into newer traders. Unfortunately, there's a lot of idiots out there kind of making a bad name for crypto, and crypto should be a fun, enjoyable trading experience. It shouldn't be a get-rich-quick thing because very few people do. Again, high risk, high reward, really just depends on your lifestyle. If you're the jump out of a plane type, maybe you want to go ahead and take 100x long at 61,100. I don't know. It's up to you. Thanks again so much for watching, folks. Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.